Welcome everybody watching in for the Komodo and SmartFi live panel discussion. This is a discussion talking about the technology partnership happening between SmartFi and Komodo. Here along with me as MC is the panelists. We've got Aaron Tilton here from SmartFi. We've got Jason Brown, Poly Crypto Blog, and who is the business director here at Komodo and the major liaison and component for working with SmartFi. And we have Charles PTYX Gonzalez, who is here for BizDev director work as well, who has been working with this entire project and many others here with Komodo. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a short discussion surrounding a few questions with the technology partnership between SmartFi and Komodo. We're going to answer some important ones and get this information out there so that everybody can have it. It'll be a discussion between these live panelists. I'm going to cover over in brief some information that people just tuning in and finding out about SmartFi and Komodo for the first time will want to know. That information is how this partnership formed. So the Komodo business director, Jason Brown, met Aaron Tilton at the Consensus 2018 in New York. And SmartFi reached out to Jason after the first version of Atomic DEX was released on desktop. There was a sufficient amount of being impressed by the ability to make completely trustless trades on Atomic DEX via atomic swaps. Shortly thereafter, SmartFi chose Komodo as its technology partner to build a full-scale open lending platform powered by Komodo technology. Some important information here is that to date, SmartFi has already completed over 1 billion in transactions and has already secured $1 million in loans. Some information about SmartFi. SmartFi with the CEO Aaron Tilton, who is here on the live panel today, together with co-founder Tom Retson, have a background in the energy industry, working at US-based Blue Castle Holdings. They saw many correlated opportunities between the energy market and crypto market and decided to go after it. Originally launched as PowerBlock Coin, SmartFi is a company focused on developing energy infrastructure for cryptocurrency mining companies and providing loans, investment hedges, and innovative financial transactions for crypto-related businesses. And a little bit about Komodo, if you've never heard about it before and you're coming from another crowd. Founded in 2016, Komodo is a blockchain project primarily focused on advancing blockchain interoperability through atomic swap technology. Komodo Atomic DEX API powers an interconnected ecosystem of decentralized exchanges. With SmartFi planning to launch its own decentralized exchange later in 2021, SmartFi will also use Komodo technology to launch its own independent blockchain and decentralized applications for crypto lending and borrowing. So there's some prep work. We're going to go ahead and jump into the live panel discussion now. Thank you, live panelists, for being here. And how's everybody feeling today, by the way?
Doing well.
Great. Aaron, Jason, Charles, thank you all for being here. This is a great opportunity to get to talk about this technology partnership happening. So I'm the MC, Jay Charming here, working at Komodo. We'll just go ahead and jump right into it. So we've got the first question on the field, which is, how does this technology partnership benefit SmartFi and Komodo? This is kind of like what's going on here for people that don't know. And I want to go ahead and open this question first up to Aaron Tilton, who is the CEO over at SmartFi.
Yeah, thank you. And but first off, let me make one minor addition or correction to your introduction. So I think you mentioned that we had done already $1 billion in transactions and loans. So it's not 1 million in loans. We've done hundreds of millions in loans. Just maybe kind of clarify that a little bit. So there's a lot of work that's been done already in the last several years in transactions. And I think that's important for people to know that are listening today and watching, that the importance of what this project means is that we're already successful as an enterprise in the financial space, primarily in cryptocurrencies. We've done a lot of different things over the last 15, almost 15 years of the company. But what we really didn't have, the Komodo brought to the venture, was a significant depth in blockchain technology. Obviously, Komodo has that in spades, and that's what we were looking for when we started looking for a partner. We interviewed, and I guess you could kind of use the word surveilled. We watched a lot of different projects, some in Israel, around the world, and saw what they were doing with their technology. And Komodo impressed us right away with the swap technology, the interoperability of the DEX. It mimicked a lot of what we already did in our financial transactions. And so right away, we saw some synergy from the technology just natively that was important to us, but also mimicked what we were already doing and what we already had success with.
Dan, that's super great. And then Jason Brown, over to you. We've got this kind of from the other side as well. Like you have come in doing the liaisoning from the Komodo side to work with SmartFi, and you all got together and kind of started out this partnership from our end at Komodo. What do you see as the kind of like what's going on here, and how does this technology partnership really benefit both of the projects here that you've been working with so much?
Yeah, so with the collaboration between SmartFi and Komodo, I think there's a lot of benefits on both directions. So one of the things Komodo's been really trying to reach into the fintech space for quite some time. It's a very new space, so there's it's been hard to break through, especially starting from a crypto background and not just like a purely financial background. So there's a definite interest on our side of collaborating with somebody who was already in the space. And like Aaron mentioned, they have a background in doing cryptocurrency-backed loans. So they already had their foot in the door and knew what to expect out of the industry. Another reason why we kind of leapt into this partnership beyond the atomic swap mechanism, like Aaron said, matched some of their business processes, already, is their idea of a commodity layer protocol of their blockchain. It probably unknown to most people, kind of in the background. I had it's kind of a similar idea to what Aaron was, what he designed out. So when I saw that and like how it could be, how it ties in, decentralized finance with mining and with having an actual mineable stable coin, I was, it just seemed like there was a lot of synergy that could take place. So, we kept in touch for a couple of years and, kept answering questions, kind of like figuring out what SmartFi wanted to build because they have a lot of things that they want. So once we had a firm grasp of that, and then we kind of just leapt into it.
That's super great. I'm going to actually point this question over to PTYX as well to get an answer, except that this time, so Charles PTYX Gonzalez has been working with a ton of other biz dev related projects for Komodo, also had his hand in SmartFi, of course, as he's all over the place. And the question here that I kind of want to pitch over your way is that kind of seeing the growth of Komodo and the various projects that it's related to, how do you see like this partnership, this technology partnership kind of like fitting in for being really, really great for either Komodo or both these projects, if you want to speak on SmartFi as well, some.
Yeah, I think from, I guess, just my point of view, we complement each other in that SmartFi itself has a lot of experience in finance. They have a lot of experience in loans and basically in the traditional business world, whereas Komodo has more experience in pure blockchain development. And a lot of the things that Komodo has done have been basically to innovate in the blockchain space. So here you have two projects that are sort of experts in their own fields, and they're looking to like build a bridge between them. So I that's the main benefit that both projects do get is having From the SmartFi side, they get all of our blockchain expertise. They get the technology that we've been building for years. And then from our side, we get people that are actually very experienced in finance, in traditional business, and that they can actually onboard. They have a plan that they have executed to onboard liquidity, to onboard users, and to actually give the technology some use. So that really truly validates our project. It validates the technology that we've been working on. And those are the benefits that we get from SmartFi.
Oh man, that's so great. Yeah, this idea of building bridges between projects with where everybody's like are experts in their own field. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. Thank you for the answers, everybody. That was fantastic. So the next one we're moving on to is what do we have to look forward to for the future of this partnership between Komodo and SmartFi? And I'm going to go ahead and point on over to Aaron Tilton to start this one out, because as far as I've heard, we're looking forward to a long and prosperous relationship together.
Yeah, and I think what was important for us when we looked at that was kind of longevity, right? We looked at saying, hey, in the near term, great, we can build these technical innovations around our business models, but a long-term relationship means that you've got to be aligned ideology, right? Your ideology and how you see things. And one of the things that we really liked, not only were the guys were just cool that we were talking to with Komodo, but they had the same vision about governance and user participation, and that really the control for us. I'm a conservative when it comes to fiscal policy. I'm kind of a recovering politician as well. So what was really important to me was that government intrusion and the governance by the people was very important to us as a venture, and that the Komodo guys over there and gals certainly embrace that ideology. So going forward in the future, we could see that, okay, our ideology is going to match up. We look at the users the same way, that they should be the ones that have the power to control what's going on, influence it, and the user tools and the interface and the design of the tools should empower them to make their own decisions. So for longevity, that met our criteria. And now we've got several different things. If you go to the SmartFi white paper, you can look at the roadmap. There are a lot of different products that we have going on, like a Venmo-like app that actually uses the mineable stablecoin as a payment system, so that individuals could pay each other, and then business can use that as like a merchant application for a point of sale, but there's no fees, right? So different than, say, like a Visa, MasterCard, or any other, even blockchain transactions. Those transactions should be free, and they shouldn't have fees. Now we have a full disclosure. There's a security fee, but it gets rebated back to you at the end of every month. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't cost you to use your own property. So you should be in charge of your property and never have kind of a de facto tax. So those are some of the things to look forward to with the project. We got a lot of other things, and we'll talk about some more of those maybe in some of the other questions.
That was super great. As a reminder to everybody, that's smartfi.com that Aaron Tilton is talking about. You can go find out about the white paper there and do a little bit of reading if you want to do some investigation. It's really great. So thank you, Aaron, for the great answer there. I know that everything I've heard throughout Komodo has been just tons of excitement surrounding SmartFi. So I'm going to go ahead and point this over to Poly Crypto Blog, so Jason, Poly Crypto Blog Brown. And so you've been, just as a little preface, you've been working like really intimately with SmartFi and the bridge and the connection like between Komodo and SmartFi and a lot of like the technicals involved for like what's going on here and where it's going to, as I understand it. Where do you kind of see some of the future of this going for people that are just kind of plugging in now and starting to find out about the SmartFi now that the NDA has been released and we're actually getting to start to talk about it some. Do you have some ideas of what people can look forward to? Would you like to share?
Sure. So, the reason why we, work together with Aaron and SmartFi is that, one of the things that we are looking, really to do with Komodo is to get out into the real world. The majority of projects that we see out in the crypto space currently are, kind of laughable. They're, simple kiddie games, or they're really just ways for traders to pass money back and forth between each other, and which is a game in itself, I guess. But with what we see with SmartFi, with actually providing real world loans, real world exchanges, a non-banking or non-depository, but still being able to generate interest from your deposits. These types of things will benefit the Komodo community, but the crypto space as a whole. In the future, we hope to be integrated more into the SmartFi services, and vice versa. Will be currently already their stablecoin and their soon to be launched token already compatible with our technology, and we will continue adding things to basically collaborate. When we build out something for SmartFi, no doubt we'll try to get Komodo in, and vice versa.
That's great. I'm going to go ahead and point this. So it looks like, just as a heads up to everybody, we have Kadan CA333 Stadelman joining the stage as well. So we'll be able to get some great tech questions answered in through there. And I'm going to go ahead and point this question over to Charles PTYX Gonzalez while Kadan finishes loading up into the stage here. And what I would like to ask is that, as I understand it, PTY, one of the things that you've been really invested in and working in has been exploding this infrastructured network for DEX transactions that Atomic DEX is the flagship of, among many other projects that you're working with. And I'm curious if SmartFi has an impact on this network, or if there's some benefit here that you've seen or that you've gotten to work with, or just if there's something here with this technology partnership that you have to point us to look forward to.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing for us is going to be the liquidity that SmartFi will bring to the DEX network. As some people know, the DEX shares liquidity across applications. So the SmartFi DEX will share liquidity with the other DEXs that are available on the network. But another thing is that SmartFi is most likely going to introduce types of trading that are new, that we're not going to be able to that are most likely going to be coming first to SmartFi than the other DEXs. Options trading, different types of trading that are going to be built on the DEX that they will most likely innovate. So those things are very exciting. And again, I think it helps us validate the technology we've been working on, and it helps the ecosystem as a whole.
That's really great. Since it looks like Kadan CA333 Stadelman is here and available, I'd actually like to go ahead and pitch this over to you. Are you able to speak to us, Kadan?
Yes, absolutely. I hope my connection is working now. I had some technical issues initially with my VPN setup, but switching to UDP seems to have solved everything. So yeah, here we go. Thanks for having me, guys.
Right.
Thanks for this conversation here. And yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
That's great. Kadan CA333 Stadelman, who is the CTO of Komodo and Komodo Technologies, is in the house. So everybody, get ready to hear some great stuff. We're always really happy to have CA on the line for anything. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this question over to you, CA, which is, and the kind of question that we're surrounding right now is, what do you see for the future that we can all kind of orient towards and be excited about around this relationship, this technology? SmartFi and Komodo, PTY just like slightly touched on that. There's going to be like different options, and there's benefits to the DEX network. And do you want to share some from the technology side what this might mean for atomic DEX
As
and
Charles
Komodo in
already
general?
touched base on it, right? I believe it's like a huge step forwards, like from a business perspective. But speaking technical, I believe it's probably even like more exciting. I mean, first of all, it's like a great showcase, right? We also have to highlight that, together with SmartFi,
I think we've got a little bit of.
Sorry, go ahead. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I thought we had a little bit of error there coming through. Yep,
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Yep, we can hear you.
Sounded like there was some robot
can hear
voice
him
coming
good.
through. Okay, good. It was just me then. I'm glad. Oh, thanks for that, CA. That was really great. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question that we have in the live panel discussion, and that is pushing towards the what's up with SMTF and KMD in this partnership. So these are the two underlying coins or tokens related to the projects that are here. We're talking about SmartFi and Komodo. And again, I want to go ahead and point it towards Aaron Tilton, the CEO and co-founder of SmartFi, to give us a little bit of information about what's up with SMTF and why we should be looking at it, and how this technology partnership really like benefits that project and what's going on there.
Yeah, thank you. The concept of the SmartFi token came about from several years of lending dollars or fiat to cryptocurrency miners. That's really how we got started in this space. Our background as a company is an energy infrastructure company. We've raised capital, built oil and gas pipelines. We're developing a new nuclear power plant. The members of our board have regulated, frankly, all nuclear power plants in the United States. As the chairman of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, my background as a legislator, and then also raising capital for our business, and GE Nuclear, which one of our other founders was an executive vice president there for plant outages. So we had a lot of experience kind of in a larger scale. And we started getting these calls from miners asking us, "Hey, do you have power out of your nuclear power plant so we can mine there?" And that's obviously a lot longer term project. So we didn't have power there, but we said, we know how to do this. We can build large scale critical infrastructure. So we started setting up other projects. This was in 2017. And then the market cratered, right? It went from Bitcoin peaked at about 20,000 and dropped to, I think it was like $3,000 or something. And all the people we were helping build these other large scale projects, all of a sudden, their net worth was 1/10 of what it had been before. And so we decided, well, gosh, why don't we just lend you money and we'll show you how we've been able to provide hedges in the other side of the energy infrastructure world, using forward price curves and other kind of derivative structures that help fund real large scale energy projects. And I think it's important for people to understand, and this is sometimes lost, is that energy is a critical component of cryptocurrencies. If you're mining, you know that firsthand, but if you're really just trading or owning the cryptocurrencies, maybe you don't realize that. So we took these structures, built those financial products for cryptocurrency miners, and started lending around the world to different mining facilities. And in that process, we thought, wouldn't it be interesting if you had a cryptocurrency that was already hedged and came out in safety? And in the trading financial world, a hedge is really about safety. So what miners were really trying to do is they were trying to get to safety once they had their Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever they had mined. They didn't want to lose the upside value of it, but at the same time, they needed to pay their bills. They need to pay for electricity or buy new equipment. So they needed some credit extended to them in a way that kept us safe as the credit, lending the credit to them, but also kept them safe, that they had the future upside potential. And so that concept and what we were doing led us to look at building our own blockchain, but instead of having a cryptocurrency that was speculative or volatile, it came out exactly correlated to a dollar. And that's where this started. Then we said, okay, once you start with something that's safe, then you should start or move your way to the second priority, which is now opportunity. How do we find or build something that has the same upside potential as Bitcoin or Ethereum or Komodo, but yet have a base layer, a basis where you could have invested in it, but not lose the initial investment, so your basis would stay the same. And that's kind of what we came up with the SmartFi token. So when you buy SmartFi token, you can actually redeem it for the original purchase price that you bought it for after a year, or for any reason. Let's say 10 years later, you don't like the price of the token or whatever you want to do, you can come back to us and we'll give you exactly the dollars that you bought it for. But it becomes a free option because you can also just hold it, and we index that coin to the loan portfolio. So it has the ability to run up and have crypto-like returns, 100x, 200x, but it also has a hedge in that it has safety, that you can always come back to us and get your original dollars that you bought it with in the first place. So I'm going to stop there, but it's kind of a different concept, and it kind of turns the concept of cryptocurrency on its head, where you start with safety first and then speculation.
Thank you for going in depth about all that. Much appreciated, Aaron Tilton. So actually, I'm going to forward the same question on to the Komodo team to talk a little bit about the technology partnership and how this affects and impacts KMD and Komodo, and like what things that we have to look forward to with that. But first, I'd actually like to go back and get Kadan, CA333 Stadleman back on the line, because at the end of that last question, I had a hiccup from my end, and I think I MC'd right over the top of Kadan when he was giving a really great answer on something, and I want to be sure to make the space for that again. And I apologize to the viewers and CA here if there was an error there. So let me go ahead and poke that last question again. Are you still available in there, Kadan?
I'm here. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
No worries. Make sure your tech's set up first, please.
Yeah, I think I need to work a little bit harder on that. So I just want to revisit this question of what do we so the Komodo and SmartFi has this amazing technology partnership going on, and we have some things to look forward to with it, and I'd like you to share about some of that that we have for where this is going and what everybody has to look forward to about it.
Back to where I stopped here. So I mean, I said, yeah, economically, business wise, and look at it like from an ecosystem perspective, it does add up a lot, like to our community, right? But from a tech perspective, what I was trying to say prior to being interrupted is that I do believe, like, at least like to me personally, this is like much more exciting than the business side of things. And I know Aaron and Jason and Charles, they will heavily disagree and say no, and it's like the money and the cash needs to flow. But I say, from a tech perspective, we're building like a piece of super innovative technology here, right? So this is something that it kind of like is I see it like as a global DeFi bridging solution, with monetization layers, with like financial tech layers that really like have a purpose, a real purpose, right? I mean, I'm not sure as how far I'm able to leak, inside information, things that are following and that are coming in the near future, but we'll see like. You're basically getting like your own financial system as an end user, right? You have like your own bank. That's something everyone comes up with, like as an argument with like blockchain technology. Everyone says, "Oh, you're your own bank," But look, if you're your own bank, can you give yourself your own loan? Can you like cover your own like credit, lines and this and that? No, you can't. Like with Bitcoin, with a plain blockchain technology, you can't. So what we see here, like with the SmartFi technology, is basically adding this layer like on top. It's like an overlay that gives you all these additional financial tools, technologies, solutions, right? And basically provides you everything from one single place, right? And this is a hybrid system. I think like the first of its kind. Not I think, I know, I'm quite certain. We've done like research. We've been trying to basically create comparison lists and sheets and tables for SmartFi, for Aaron, for their business and PR guys, right? But it was tough. We couldn't find something that compares to it. So from this perspective, right, for me, the excitement lies in basically creating something that's like you, and the next big thing is creating something that's really gonna like enhance something. It's gonna like solve real world problems that we do have right now today, right? So yes, from a tech perspective, I think it's like an amazing like showcase as to what we are able to build and create here, right? So it's like a creative power, like the Genesis, you know what I mean? Like this is like the feeling that we have. I hope it makes sense to you, DC. Are you still with us?
Yeah, that was absolutely great. I was just letting it give a moment to sink in and digest. Just
I would like to echo something there because I guess over 20 years ago, I was involved in technology at a software company where we built interactive voice response systems for chain store pharmacies. And the concept of cryptocurrencies, when we first kind of saw what was going on, understood that from the energy perspective, this is really wild for people to get their heads around. I think it's very helpful that Kadan brought that up, because I would echo his sentiment that technically what we're doing is extremely exciting, but to get your head around it is a little bit it takes a little bit of understanding. But when you distill it down to its basic structure, we're creating a derivative, a financial derivative, out of electricity and silicon chip computation by making a change in the protocols and algorithms on the SmartFi SFUSD chain, where you then emit a coin that is automatically hedged. It basically turns a power supply and a server into a banking process. And so for people to kind of get your head around that, we were talking just the other day to a really large utility about this concept. And you could just hear the wheels turning on the other side. It was hard for them to kind of grasp that. But when they kind of understood that they were sitting on a commodity producing machine that could turn itself into a decentralized bank, it was blowing their minds. And we'll probably not have to go into another forum of that, but the technology that's making that possible is the combination of our modeling from the financial side and the Komodo structures around the atomic swap and the decentralized platform and the commodity layer protocol. So I'm super excited to what Komodo is able to do, because it brings to life our vision that we knew there was something there. Technically, we understood it, but we didn't have the skills to bring it to life. But we knew how economically it should work, and then they could translate that into the technology that we needed. So super excited. And so when Kadan said we might disagree with him, I'm kind of more geeking out about the technology like Kadan does with that structure. The finances are kind of a byproduct, but the technology is awesome.
I'll be honest. It took me, I think, there was times where I would write Jason and I would be like, I still cannot grasp like parts of what you guys are trying to build. And it took me quite a bit of really like trying to digest it all. And yeah, I see the vision, and I agree that the tools that you guys are building are are one for one are new, and then the other thing is that you're actually building solutions that people are going to use that have underlying technology that most people don't even know exists. So yeah, it's definitely great.
Yeah, and maybe just one example of that is that last week, because of the structure and what we did and how we're building things, we made some of our first loans to people who have no idea really about cryptocurrencies, or that actually their loans were being funded by cryptocurrencies. That's when you get real user adoption, when people don't have to change their habits, they don't have to change what they do, they don't even realize the cryptocurrency is involved in what they're doing, and it's safe, it's stable for them, it's predictable, and it mimics what they would normally get at a traditional bank, but without the same craziness and control and the the downsides to the traditional banking world. We're kind of combining similar models from traditional banking, but leaving behind all the bad stuff and picking up all the good new things of cryptocurrency. So it's amazing to see what's happening.
I love how all this conversation is surrounding the idea that Komodo isn't just solving Komodo technology isn't just solving first world problems. Like that's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing. It's solving real world problems, and like that's what SmartFi is after. It's solving real world problems that people are facing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for all the discourse. That was a really, really great communication there from everybody. And Kadan, CA333 Stadelman, thank you for being able to have time to hop in and get these discussions going. It's like every time you're here, we always get these like really great rounds. It's fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. So we heard a little bit earlier from Aaron Tilton about what's up with SMTF, and the other half of that question was what's up with KMD in this partnership, because Komodo has its own ecosystem coin that it uses, and one of the kind of questions that ends up surrounding this a lot is, what the ecosystem coins that people kind of end up interacting with, how did major partnerships and technology enhancements, how do they affect like some of these things that are the actual objects that people like will end up interacting with on some level. And we're just trying to like connect the conversation with how projects end up getting supported and like these primary components. So I'm going to open this up to the Komodo team, and of course to Aaron, if you have anything to say on it as well from your side. But just now that Aaron has shared some about the SMTF, does Komodo and KMD have some impact from this technology partnership, or just the technology stack, if that wants to get talked about some? I'll leave it open for whoever wants to start.
I'd like to share something that I think is interesting about Komodo's token, and frankly all cryptocurrencies, but with Komodo in particular is this. In a real financial sense, a good market for a token only develops when you have a forward price curve, or in other words, you can look into the future and say, what might it be worth, right? Everybody can speculate, but when you have 100% speculation on a token, it leads to massive volatility, and also kind of people get really conservative, right? That old saying that capital is a coward, that it flees at the first sight of something unless you have the ability to think forward into the future. So some of the things that we're going to be doing with Komodo is providing them with an opportunity to build a forward price curve on their token. And when you look at the success of Bitcoin and Ethereum and other large scale tokens, the reason that they have success is because of a forward price curve, or somebody has the ability to potentially predict what it might be worth in the future. And one of the most simple ways to do that is you start lending against that coin. So in the future, we will be implementing a process that allows us to take Komodo as collateral, and then we will lend against that to the Komodo community, and that gives it a forward price curve. It now gives it a free option, or in sometimes, depending on what the interest is, it'll be an option that costs a certain amount, but it gives it a discount rate that you can then price the future value of the coin using a margining process. But it then starts to put upward price pressure and predictability into the price curve of Komodo, similar to what we're doing with SMTF and with the other structures that we already do. We're already doing this for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we'll be doing that for Komodo in the future. So I want to kind of lay that out for the Komodo community to understand what might be coming in the future.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about that.
Yeah,
Same here, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to add on to what Aaron was saying, so basically getting Komodo to be collateralizable for loans. That is, definitely one route that we're looking to build out, but also just increased utility as well. SmartFi will have its own smart contract platform, no doubt. We'll end up building a bridge over to get like a wrapped Komodo at some point as well. So we'll be able to take advantage of all the EVM style contracts on there. On the SmartFi platform, it has a lot more benefits than something like Binance Smart Chain or Ethereum, because their system is based around the SFUSD coin. So it's based around stablecoin. This prevents smart contract fees from just getting totally crazy, as we've seen with Ethereum and other platforms. And plus, as Aaron previously mentioned, eventually fees get rebated back to the user as well. So it's not just this like cartel of miners or validators who are just kind of leeching off of the users. People's property should be able to be spent without being taxed. So that's something that we agree on, with Aaron, and we'll be building out different utility mechanisms. And as the utilization, the atomic DEX, increases, we will start, working on like a buyback mechanism. But that's another conversation for more of a Komodo specific panel, because it extends beyond SmartFi. But this is just what we have in planned out for the future. And SmartFi obviously will be very integral in helping us build this up.
All great answers. Thank you for getting some of that sharing out there. This technology partnership is a huge deal for Komodo, and it's a huge deal for SmartFi as well. Like, our collaboration here is just something that we're really going to get to look forward to more and more as time goes on. The lifting of the NDA and getting to talk about like more of the things that have been going on behind the scenes for a really long time. I'm going to go ahead and move on to some questions from the audience. We're going to take 5 minutes to answer as many questions as we can from the audience. We're going to pick up a few of these questions. I'm going to direct them out. The first one I'm going to pitch out towards Kadan, CA333 Stadelman, and Aaron, the CEO of SmartFi. We've got when will we see volume on ADEX, meaning atomic DEX, coming from SmartFi?
I guess technically I could say now, right? But again, this brings me back to the NDA kind of thing and question. But I mean, there are like pre-sale rounds going on. They utilize the ADEX network. It means that's volume that already is routed through the atomic DEX network, right? Speaking like technically in regards to like a public, releases, public trading, etc. I mean, SmartDex is now basically undergoing the final QA process. They do have basically an own UI UX overhaul going, a lot of polishing, tweaking, just general enhancements, and also adapting the visuals, right? The look of the end user applications to match the SmartFi corporate design, their color schemes, just their expectation of user interface. And I think by the launch of SmartDex as an independent and own, cross-chain atomic swap, powered GUI and basically trading product, we'll see just the volume go up in general. because we need to keep in mind that atomic DEX, smart DEX, and all the other DEX that are out right now utilizing the atomic DEX technology are using a unified liquidity pool, right? So regardless of how the trading will take place, right? Will there be like, a PubKey whitelisting, etc., this and that? I think I can't go like too deep into the technical details right now, but I do see this happening like quite soon, right? So with the official and public releases of SmartDex by SmartFi, you'll actually be able like to just track like the DEX network, and you'll see like a smart DEX originated swaps and trades going on.
Yeah, there's a little bit we have to be careful about. Our PR team and legal team will be get sideways with us if we start saying too much, but it's imminent, right? The release of our DEX that will contribute liquidity to the process and on the atomic DEX network will be imminent. That's probably all that we could say.
I'm thinking of the memes where there's like the word soon, but then it has the little TM in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably, I've heard often that it is the most imprecise word in the English language, right?
That's great. All right, let's go ahead and thank you for those great answers. We're going to go ahead and move on to another question we have scooped up from the audience. This one is directed to Aaron Tilton, and it says, the thing I'm most excited about SmartFi is the use of atomic DEX technology, but will SmartFi use the same order books as atomic DEX? And after you answer, Aaron, of course, if there's anybody else that would like to add some to this conversation about the Komodo technology or the biz dev around it, like, please feel free to share.
Yeah, I think since it uses the same peer-to-peer networks, technically the order book is distributed, right? It's not like a centralized exchange where you have a single order book and markets are made from that order book. It's basically using the same peer-to-peer technology, and that is what's matching the orders. So I wouldn't use the word order book, but I would use the same network, right? And they'll match. So the liquidity will be available across the different DEXs that are available.
Right. Yeah. They'll be using the same net ID for the general SmartDex implementation. But we've also talked about like possibly in the future of doing private net IDs for different applications as well. But to answer the question generally, yes, it will be using the same net ID to propagate orders.
That's great. Is this so we're going to go ahead and move on to another question. Thank you for sharing all the great info, Aaron and Polly, Aaron and Jason. What we've got is the next question is regarding what SmartFi is bringing to the Komodo ecosystem. And let me go ahead and just grab it. So we've got this question from the community. It says, to my knowledge, SmartFi is the fourth project to try to bring banking to the Komodo ecosystem. Why do you think SmartFi will succeed where others will fail?
I mean, obviously, besides their experience, right, their track record of success, right, in different industries, in various industries, besides crypto, besides finance, banking, etc., right? I mean, obviously, we do have information you guys don't have, right? We do have like insider knowledge you guys don't have. And again, it brings me back like to this NDA type of thing. So I'm not sure as to how much I can say. But to me, right, as just like heading up the tech side of things, just like the way we're collaborating, knowing the energy, the efforts, the resources, the money, the time these guys are putting into this. On top of it, I mean, they're showing their faces, right? These are not like young kids, like the prior, I don't even know if it were like 4 projects, if you can call them projects, right? These were like a few guys, sitting in their basement, like launching something probably out from their smartphones. But here we're talking about like a project with a real infrastructure, with real economic influence, with real power, with real resources, building something. And that alone, right, like makes me super confident concerning their success. And again, they haven't even launched, they haven't even publicly launched the full suite. They haven't even fully rolled out the project, and we already see real users, real clients, people they don't even know using their technology, their platform, putting real money into this. And I mean, if that's not a sign, if that's not a testimony, right, then I don't know, right? But again, this is like my perspective. This is like what I'm seeing, and I believe like out of like the projects that I've been invested into, that I've basically went all into, the projects that I knew will be like successful. I mean, I see SmartFi at the top, like this is like a top 3 ranking thing. I'm not like trying to sell this, whatever, right? I don't have any benefit in doing so. Really looking at like mostly from like a technological perspective. Yeah, what these guys are putting into it, and just their network, this like experience, the track record of successful projects and deals should be like more than enough, like to get like a quite realistic estimation, and on what's going to happen, what's going to like come, right? And I'm sure I speak in the name of many, right, by saying this.
And maybe from our perspective, I don't know any of the previous projects. We weren't involved in any of those things, but I could say this is that from our past research on a lot of different DeFi projects, or even just crypto projects and blockchain projects in general, most of them have been somewhat a solution in search of a problem, right? And we started just the exact opposite, where we started filling a need for a problem and came up with a solution. And also, I could tell you with traditional banking, that is the hardest thing that we do in terms of integration. And I can tell you, there's far more fraud that goes on in traditional banking than there ever is in cryptocurrency. We see it with our platforms and other things. We have very sophisticated processes to validate users and go through KYC and do all of these things. That's the hardest thing that we do. In the decentralized world, it's much simpler, and that process lends itself to a more straightforward structure. Now that you get into some of the regulatory constructs around what we're doing, we're obviously, we have some regulation that we have to comply with in terms of FinCEN, which is an agency of the US Treasury. So we're registered with FinCEN. And then also some lending laws and other things around the United States. But those are reasonably handled, and we already do it now. So converting that into a more decentralized process is actually simpler than doing it from the CeFi side of things.
Right. Yeah, I would just like to add a little bit on to this. Like Aaron said, there's a lot of the early projects that we had were, had a solution in search of a problem, right? Give a little history. We a long time ago initially tried to help out a fintech startup with a Revolut type app. They were called Monets. And then we had a couple community members try to reach into the financial world as well in the EU. One was called Pungo, based off Gibraltar, if I remember correctly. So, the main difference obviously between SmartFi and these, like, one is just like they're not like, a greenhorn startup. Like they have years of experience, in there, and, doing lending, and especially with crypto-backed loans. From, Aaron was a, former legislator. He knows, how the legal system works. They're familiar with all the compliance stuff that needs done, so their business can operate. And, these types of hurdles were really hanging up, more new to the scene startup. So, that really gives me, and I'm sure other community team members, a lot of confidence in their ability to succeed.
Let me just add, since you mentioned, the legal side of things, that's probably also a point. Most of these projects, they kind of come up with an idea, they instantly start coding, setting up some crappy prototype app, whatever, and release it. And afterwards, will they start researching? Oh, do we need a license? Do we need like this? Do we need like, what do we need to do now, right? You know, like they put themselves into like a horrible situation. Even if they would be like building a proper like technology, they won't like probably likely succeed with it because they haven't like followed like this legal framework around like their tech. And that's also something that I've noticed like with SmartFi, that like Aaron said, they did it the other way around, right? They had like the problems in place already. They knew what they are going to solve. And that also did include the entire like legal spec, right? While building, you know, this tech together with SmartFi. You won't believe, I mean, there's a lot of like technical requirements, but unlike many other projects or partners we've worked with, we also have like legal requirements, right? Legal guidelines, things to follow, things that Aaron keeps like bringing up and saying, oh, look, now this doesn't work, this can't work, this is like illegal. Oh, guys, this is like money laundering, like to put it like straight, and you know, this kind of thing. So that also like makes me super confident because, you know, you're working with someone who actually cares, right? Who wants to do something like super clean, solid, and that's like the core foundation for a solid future and for long-term operations, right? Yeah, I hope that makes sense, guys.
Yeah, maybe just really quick there. If you don't start with a technology that has its core design rooted in meeting society's broader needs of security and safety, it's never going to pass. And then when you get into a situation with the legislation or other people, when you have success, you're going to become a target to either make your project obsolete through legislation or financial penalties. They'll make it too difficult, too hard for you to succeed. So you have to demonstrate how you broadly serve society's better interests, including security, privacy, a lot of the things that we hold dear in the project, but also compliance. If you don't have that fourth kind of underpinning piece, you won't succeed. And we started with that a long time ago, you know, years ago, designing it from that core basis.
Yeah, in worst case, you just get McAfeed, right? Or Fluffy Pony or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really important, this compliance aspect. I know, like in crypto, it's kind of heresy almost, but it's like for the tech to really be adopted in the real world to be used by businesses and stuff, it has to be able to be used in a compliant fashion. And that's kind of like the problem we see just in DeFi today is that building tech isn't the hard part. The hard part is building it in such a way that it is able to maneuver through all the legal requirements that you need to run your technology legally, and like Aaron said, not get hit with the monetary penalties and legal issues.
Thank you, everybody on the live panel, for taking time to answer that question. That's it's always like some really difficult questions that it's nice to get a bunch of good answers for, and that's definitely one of them, of like risks and things like that. And a huge takeaway, like just like watching this and listening to everybody talk, is about the experience that's just like crowded into this room right now, and how that's creating a really supportive network for the future, especially with this technology partnership going on. So we have one more question, and then we're going to kind of move to some closing comments. And this one is directed towards Kadan CA333 Stadelman. And this is, with the upcoming 050 release of Atomic DEX, where Pirate is enabled and WebDEX is the near future, how excited are you about decentralized trading in general?
I mean, in general, like super excited, right? And this excitement has been here like for the last 1.5 decades. Or no, sorry, no, a bit more than like a 1.5 decade. So 75% of a decade, like 7 years, I think. We've been like working on this tech stack to 14 to 15, if I remember correctly. That's where we like kickstarted this. So excitement is here, and it's like huge. And obviously, right, like decentralized trading in general. I mean, this aligns, right, and matches our vision, right, like of freedom. I mean, we do identify with this, this ultimate libertarian financial freedom, and I believe that DEX technology, decentralized trading, right, just like in general, is a like a super nice like projection of this vision of this like ultimate financial freedom. So to just like put this in one short sentence, I think like I'm personally like super excited, and I believe the entire community, the pirates, right, all our friends over at Pirates and everyone else, right, that just like cares about like financial freedom, independence, will love like, you know, these kind of technologies, right? Because you won't be limited, right? It's like a tech stack that's, unless, right, this deGoved layer that I've predicted like 1.5 like years ago, and that's literally coming right now, right? But unless that's like fully rolled out, I mean, this tech gives you like ultimate freedom, right? You are like free. You can't be freer than free, like with this kind of technology.
That's great. Thank you for the answers there.
I have a quick comment about that, if I can take a second here. You know, when we first started the project, we did a comparison of the notional values of certain markets around the world. And I think the Komodo guys have heard this a couple of times, but I'll try to be quick. When you do a comparison of currency versus derivatives structures and the size of the markets, when you talk about notional value versus market value, all currency in the world amounts to something on the order of about $90 trillion. And so when you look at cryptocurrencies, and they're trying to basically, it was initiated as a replacement for a payment system. All of the other things that came after, all the trading of it and all these other things, is really what it was not designed for, right? So all the limitations that ensued became very apparent, but they still kind of trudged along. And then you got exchanges, and but which basically centralized exchanges, which were anathema to the concept of cryptocurrency in the first place, right? But they became the de facto banks of the cryptocurrency space. When you look at the real kind of financial world and compare the currency market to the derivatives market, where really all value actually takes place, and all trading in terms of impact take place in derivatives markets, not crypto markets, not the other markets, in fact, not other currency markets. The size of the derivatives market is about 15 times bigger than the currency market. So when we looked at our project and said, well, where do we want trading to take place? Do we want it in a currency market, or do you want it in the derivatives market? I'll give you the quick example of the impact that this can have. Is that Bitcoin was actually an outgrowth of the derivatives market. When the collateralized default swaps in the derivatives market collapsed a bunch of banks and the liquidity, that was an indicator of how powerful the derivatives market is. So when we're talking about Komodo and building up this derivatives market on the DEX, you kind of think of it this way. When the derivatives market gets a cold, the currency markets have a heart attack. So the mortgage-backed securities represented about 3% of the derivatives market. And when they failed because of being over-levered in derivatives, it absolutely brought the currency markets to their knees. If everybody remembers, there was no money to go around. The banks seized up, right? But the rest of the derivatives markets function, 97% function just normally, because they were using contracts, not currency, as the medium of exchange. So when you talk about where's the real money in the world, it's not in currencies, it's in contracts. So when you make that contrast or that comparison, smart contracts can become the real currency of the world when you trade it in derivative structures using swaps. And that was kind of this thing that we saw in the beginning with Komodo. We got really excited about the interoperability of swaps because it mimics the derivatives market, not the currency market.
That's great.
Those are the types of things that took me a while to get my head wrapped around.
Yeah.
Thanks for the dispersion of all the great information here. And for all of our live panelist discussionists here, thank you for taking the time to have these conversations and to answer these questions and to do these kind of, just get this kind of information out there, because there's just no way to really get it distributed and dispersed without people like these live panelists taking the time to do so. So thank you, big thank you to everybody here. So what we've got now is
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
yeah. So we're going to do a few closing comments from everybody, and then we'll do a few CTAs so that anybody that's following along now on Airmeet or on the YouTube or through any of the other channels can go ahead and know like what they can do next to get involved with both SmartFi and Komodo, and then we'll head on our ways. So the closing comments is I'd like to hear from each of the live panelists here so that everybody listening in the future can get an opportunity for this. Just a 1 minute in brief. What is it that you would like people listening to walk away with? And this is like specifically regarding like this Komodo and SmartFi technology partnership that's going on. Everybody has their different angle and their different view of what they see going on and what they're excited about. And I'd like to start this with again with Aaron. If you'd like to share like what's particularly, probably coming from SmartFi, what's in 1 minute or less, what's the one thing you'd really like everybody listening to walk away with, like knowing or having in their back pocket?
So yeah, I think it would be this, is that cryptocurrencies have a lot of potential. And when we looked at that in the beginning, that's what we saw. We saw these derivative structures, we saw these potential things. But at the core of the technology that was built, 10, 12, I guess now years ago, there was some flaws that needed to be corrected. And so when we built our structure and our model around correcting these flaws and making the core technology take advantage of the new innovations, it could provide both safety and the speculative gains that is the holy grail of crypto. So as we've been working through this process with Komodo, we've been able to create that process and build a structure that really unleashes the power of cryptocurrencies, both from a hedging perspective or safety and speculation, through converting the process to a loaning model, right? Loanable funds models were built in private banks a long time ago. So employing some of the past successes before there was large-scale central banks, when you use private banks, we structured this process that really unleashes the potential of cryptocurrencies to be used in the real world, quote unquote. Like we mentioned earlier, that we're starting to make those loans now in the real world where people don't even really understand that they're using liquidity from cryptocurrencies. That's the potential of cryptocurrencies and SMTF. And we're glad to be part of that process and have Komodo as backing the technology and the innovations around our designs.
That's great. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and ask the same question to Jason Brown here, who has been working as the major liaison between SmartFi and Komodo, getting a lot of this project started up and keeping a lot of the information flowing through our channels for this. Jason, what's one thing that people listening in that you'd really like them to take away from this technology partnership and what's going on here with SmartFi and Komodo and the technology stack underneath?
So I guess one thing I'd like people to take away from it is, this discussion about some of the things that SmartFi is doing and how, Komodo is collaborating, is that cryptocurrency, as we know it, is about to really change quite drastically. The model that they have with their stable coin, far surpasses, other types of cryptos in terms of actual ability to use it and to onboard people, tying actual like banking processes, such as these loans into cryptocurrency itself really radically changes the game. Just changes the model really of how we're used to dealing with cryptos and makes it more of a something akin to the real world. So I would say people should take away is that what we've been working on for the past several years is finally starting to come through to fruition, and we will start seeing a more pragmatic use of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in general in the future.
Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and pitch it over to Charles PTYX Gonzalez as well to give his point of view over what's the takeaway that you'd like to have, that you'd like everybody to walk away with on this.
I think, it's important to take note of the years that Komodo has been developing this technology, and now finally it's being given real use. And I think the most important thing about all of it is that this collaboration with SmartFi and the way that they're actually applying the tech will actually innovate. It will create innovations in itself, and it'll move the tech towards the mainstream. And I think that's the most important takeaway from this. As of now, most of the technology that we have built has been somewhat stuck within the blockchain world, and in a very, very, it's been given very little use because most people don't understand it. So what they are building is really bringing this to the mainstream, in the sense that a lot of people are going to be using the tech and they actually won't even know that they're using it. And at the end of the day, that, when people use cryptocurrencies like they use email, they don't even know how it works, but they use it every day. That's when you actually reach a very important goal or an important milestone. And yeah, I'm excited to see where the tech goes from here, and how it's applied, and seeing it grow.
Thank you for that. And sending over to Komodo CTO Kadan CA333 Stadelman for the last word in on what we'd like to see everybody kind of take away with the points of view that he always gets to bring to the table, which are so phenomenal.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I'll kind of just like wrap up and summarize what Aaron, Charles, and Jason just said, and I think like I highly recommend everyone that's watching this, right, to keep an eye on this, right? Not necessarily just like the tech stack, but the entire project, how it's going to evolve. I believe it's just like the beginning, right? This is something that's going to like grow, like in terms of like user base, volumes, in terms of even like financial tools. And when I say it's just the beginning, it's because we're all certain this is gonna like change the financial world as such, right? If I look at Generation Z and Generation Alpha, like I'm certain in 10 years we won't even have like physical bank offices anymore. We won't have like a typical traditional like bank branch anymore. This is all gonna like happen, on this, right? It's all gonna be here. This is what your bank access is gonna look like. And to me, it feels like we are now in this gold rush of crypto, right? Like, I don't know, 100 years ago or so, we had this gold rush, right? And back then there was gold, right? We had like fiat currencies that were like gold backed, and similar is going to happen with crypto. Banks just sooner than later will come up with a digital currency that is going to be like BTC backed, and at some point they probably like back it by nothing. Right, if like a Generation Z and Alpha let this happen, and looking at how they behave and how they live and how in terms of privacy, sensibilization, etc., I'm certain this is going to happen, right? So yeah, I just like say try to commit to like keep this in mind, keep an eye on this, question everything, and yeah, just like be sure and certain that it is going to change the world, in a way that we all probably would not have expected that it's possible.
That's great. Thank you for the wrap up, and thank you to all of the live panelists here that took time out of their day to have some discussion surrounding the technology partnership happening between Komodo and SmartFi. I'm going to go ahead and run through some CTAs so people know where to find out more information regarding both Komodo and SmartFi in the future. First and foremost, there will be a Twitter Spaces happening on August 20th at 1700 UTC, where people can come onto Twitter. If you're not familiar with Twitter Spaces, it's just an open discussion stage where you can come and join up and come and talk to the team members directly, ask questions. There's an extremely limited amount of moderation there, and you can just come and get like some information directly from the people that are talking there, as opposed to necessarily just watching a live panel discussion, which is always chock full of great information. And then beyond that, the other ways that you can find out more information about these projects is you can go to any of the Komodo channels through social media, or you can go to the Komodo website at komodoplatform.com. If you want to find out more about Atomic Dex and the Atomic Dex network that exists that all of this is running on, you can go to atomicdex.io, where there's a beautiful written website, talking about all the advantages of Atomic DEX and the Komodo Atomic DEX API that underpins it. And you can sign up for the Komodo newsletter, which you can always get all the latest and greatest information dropped straight to your email for. We do a scheduler release of all the events that Komodo is involved in at the beginning of the month, dropped right into your email, and then we do a recap and synopsis of everything here at the end of the month. And that's all I have for now. Thank you for your attention and time, everybody, and look forward to seeing you at the Komodo Twitter Spaces and at future events. And thank you to all of the live panel discussionists that came in and dropped great information on this. Goodbye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.